Hi, welcome to Great Goodness. We're so glad that you're watching this episode today. I'm Angela Driven, and this is my partner.
Karen Stewart.
And we're really glad to have Aili Huber here today. Aili.
Hello.
So I'm supposed to tell you like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to show Aili all the love. And please share. Please share this. And if you or someone you know is putting great goodness into the world, then reach out and get in touch with us because we want to talk to you and share your goodness. So we won't hold off anymore. Oh, stay till the end because you will get a creative prompt and you don't want to miss that. Sometimes it's about living a creative life. Sometimes it's about a creative expression, which I guess are actually one and the same. So don't miss it. Okay. Karen, kick us off with an oracle.
Yes. Okay. So today I have pulled this deck from my stash of awesome Oracle cards and tarot cards. So today we are going to be, oh, this is the little guidebook. We're going to be looking at a card from the Enchanted Map, which is an Oracle deck authored by Colette Baron Reed, illustrated by Gina Della Grataglia. I think I'm getting so much better on that name. And published by hayhouse.com. So from the Enchanted Map, and I have already just shuffled the bejeebies out of this deck, but I'm just going to do it again. And so what we're doing is just kind of being open to whatever this card, whatever the card is, brings to us. Yeah. So here's the back of the card. Isn't that lovely? That's what all the cards in the deck look like. Oh, hmm. Interesting card. Card number set. So I got a sneak peek. Can y'all see that?
Wow.
Into the unknown. Into the
Oh,
unknown.
That is a really powerful
Interesting.
image.
Isn't it? Into the unknown. So here we have, well, of course, I'm always drawn to the thing that isn't in the center of the picture, which is this little bird
I was just looking
sitting
at that too. Yeah.
on the rail. See if I can get it. Does that help you see it better, or does
Is
that
Not
make it
really. It's
worse?
like blurry.
A little bird. It's a little bird. There's a little bird there.
is that an iris to the side or what is the purple and yellow to the side?
Ah,
All right, I'm going to look
opposite the
again.
bird.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It kind of looks like hyacinths, maybe. Okay, it is green leafy, purple flowery, and it has two hearts hanging among the greenery.
Okay.
Let's try that again.
It's
Now,
really
what's going to
beautiful.
happen with this when Angela posts this on our YouTube channel, we will have a or on our Facebook page, we'll have a photograph of this card so our viewers can actually see it without me
Yeah.
shaking it around and having studio lights on it. But what we can see today is number 7. This woman is blindfolded. She's all dressed in kind of purple black. She has her hands up, but and she's got her back against a rail with clouds behind her. So I think she's up high somewhere. And yet I'm not concerned about her. I think she's really
Yeah.
comfortable. I feel like she's tapping into her inner seeing since she can't see outwardly. And I think that's pretty cool. I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like
very cool.
she's given over to the unknown. Now,
Hmm.
y'all, this is just my ideas popping in my head. There's a whole guidebook for what the author had in mind with this card and what the illustrator had in mind. But that's not where we're going today. We're just going wherever the card takes us.
It kind of actually makes me think of our guest, like when she like just Eileen just did a double take like me, but
Right.
but
He's like, what? What just happened?
where are you going with this?
Excuse me.
But but
Same
um
word.
but but really because I don't know a lot about you, but I'm looking forward to learning more. But what I did glean about you is that you really have you're kind of you have a your own path and like with take five, which I hope we'll talk about Silk Moth Stage, like being a creative midwife, like you and it was like what Karen described, like you go into the unknown. Like, and it feels like to me in all of those pursuits, but you feel like you've done well with them. And like you probably went into them with a lot of knowledge and a lot of confidence and a lot of self-understanding. Like you knew where you wanted to go, or at least you knew that you would figure out where you wanted to go. I just did a lot of talking for you, but that's
I
kind
think I think that's not wrong. It's certainly with Silk Moth Stage with this theater that I started, like
of
uh it's definitely a big leap of faith that
hmm
continues to be a big leap of faith every season. And um this year, Silk Moth Stage is hosting, in partnership with the American Shakespeare Center, the Wayne, where Corey works, who's my friend that connected us, and Bridgewater College Theater and the Shakespeare Performance Program at Mary Baldwin University. We are hosting a symposium of people who are working on making theater better for other theater workers. And like, never done anything like this before.
Oh,
Honestly, kind of
Oh,
scared. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm like, we're just gonna do it.
oh,
yeah.
that's
So
so exciting.
It is
so anyway,
exciting.
I'm vibing with this card. Like I get this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna just point out something that I'm having a duh moment of because I didn't even register it, but the one thing that's really obvious is this curtain drape
The
hanging
curtains. Yes.
like as there would be at a theater
I
production,
know.
right?
Yes, that particular red feels theater curtain to me.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Okay. See, I'm
That's
not
very
wrong.
interesting.
I'm going to
It's
keep
a
that.
thing.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's get into talking more with Eileen. Karen, you want to do the bio and
I would love to read the bio
yeah.
because this is a lot, y'all. This is fascinating. Okay. Aili Huber has been directing for over 25 years. She holds an MFA from Mary Baldwin College, American Shakespeare Center, and is the co-author with Toby Malone of Cutting Plays for Performance, a practical and accessible guide available from Routledge Press. I think I pronounced that correctly? We're going to go
I
with
think
that.
so.
Routledge Press. Aili is the founder and artistic director of Silk Moth Stage, which produces new classics in place-based, audience-connected productions. Favorite directing credits include T.J. Young's new play Sperm Donor Wanted 2020 with Slow Your Roll Theater Company, Romeo and Juliet 2012, The Duchess of Malfi 2016, Antony and Cleopatra 2018, and Richard III 2019 with Pigeon Creek Shakespeare. Merry Wives of Windsor 2022 at the Richmond Shakespeare Festival, and the world premieres of Give Us Good 2022 and Wonder of Our Stage 2023 at Silk Moth Stage. Ailie is an associate member of the Stage Directors and Choreographers Society and the Shakespeare Theater Association, and a full member of Directors Gathering. Y'all, come on.
What a long
Yay!
bio. I really should have cut that down.
I want to hear about all of it.
She would have added to it if you had done that. She'd have gone and looked and been like, "Oh no, we need to tell people about this." Um,
Right.
yeah. So Eileen, there's so much to talk about, but why don't we start with Silk Moth Stage and the production? You have a production coming up right away.
We do, yeah. So Silk Moth Stage is a small professional theater in rural Virginia. The stage is the porch of my house, which is a little
Mm.
story there. And this season, we're doing two musicals, which we've never done a musical before. People always ask us, "Are you going to?" And they're very expensive and challenging to produce. But this
Yeah.
year we're doing two of them just because. They're very small musicals, but our first play, which opens May 9 and is that weekend and then the following weekend, is called The Last Wide Open. It's by Audrey Cephaly, who is a playwright, I believe, from Baltimore. This is the regional premiere of this play. It hasn't been done in Virginia before. And it is a sort of sliding doors rom-com about immigration and second chances. And I am not directing this one. I'm producing. So we hired Kelsey Harrison as the director. She's amazing. I've got Jeremy Nafziger is doing music direction, and then Hannah Pennington and Aaron Kaufman are our actors. And we have the world's greatest production intern, Lane Anthony, who is saving my whole life right now. So we've got a wonderful crew for this play.
I mean, okay. Oh my gosh. How like where do you even start with questions? Like, all right, who's coming? Like who comes to these? I'll just ask one question at a time.
Yeah, do
Your
that. Yeah.
audience.
My brain can only hold one.
Well, okay.
Okay. So who comes? Like
So
where's
who's
your audience?
coming? Who's coming?
Yeah.
I mean, ideally as many people as we can fit in my yard. We about a little over half of our audience is from Harrisonburg and Rockingham County, which are the communities that we serve most directly, and we're located in Rockingham County. And then about of the remainder, something like 70% come from elsewhere in Virginia.
Hmm.
And then the last little slice of the pie, people come from all over the place. I think last year we had 12 states represented in terms of people who were coming to our shows.
I
Wow.
have
So that's really
chills.
cool.
It's really
It's
cool.
very exciting.
And it sounds like so
And
much fun. Sorry.
it's a hoot. So we do an hour of live music before the show. This year, this play, thanks to some funding from the Virginia Commission for the Arts, we're bringing in the LUA Project, which does Mexilatin fusion music, and they are so fun.
Oh
So they're going to
my
play for an
gosh.
hour.
Oh,
People have picnics. You can bring a picnic or you can
That's what
order
I was
it.
envisioning.
It's
Okay.
really cool.
okay.
And then there's the play.
This
And
is
then we have
okay.
fireworks afterward, and s'mores are always on the house.
Oh my gosh. This is amazing. Like,
And
I
that's what
want
we
to
do.
come
This
to
is
this.
I want to
Like,
live in Virginia. What the heck?
Please.
you can come. You're not that far
I'm
away.
not that far. I
And then we
half
can
car
go
can drive.
No,
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
So
Okay.
so
We
I
also like because we know that our experience is like, oh, good.
No, I want to hear about your experience. Say what
yeah,
you're going to
no
My
no.
say.
turn. Oh, I was just gonna say, like, because we know that our little thing is like a 3 hour experience maximum if you come for the music and you
Hmm.
stay for the fire. Um, in order to make it easier for people coming from out of town, we actually have a section of our website that is recommended restaurants, recommended rentals, Airbnbs, and also other cool stuff that's happening. So if you're coming to see our show, we're like, great, have a great time, but also go check out this charity gala,
Oh,
stay
that's
another
so
day and go see a play at the American Shakespeare Center. Here are our favorite hikes. Here's the stuff to do. Here's where there's music at stage side, right? Like there's all of, we're trying to say, come here and then enjoy the Shenandoah Valley, which is one of the most beautiful places in the whole
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
love this. Karen, I know you had a question,
I'm
so
I'm so
I'll say
excited.
that.
So I'm all about getting the word out about creative endeavors. So I'm curious, how do you all are you affiliated with a bigger umbrella organization that has mass mailings that they do, or like how are you getting the word out about these things? Because this is
That would be
cool.
cool, but no, we're not. Um, we have we have two things. One is when I was getting ready to start Silk Moth Stage, I met with Kirsten Moore, who is a local entrepreneur. She's like started so many amazing things.
Mm.
But one thing she used to do was something called the Sub Rosa Supper Club, which was like people you would buy a ticket for like $200, and then 24 hours before the thing you would get an address and you'd go to this mysterious place, and there would be gourmet food and music and all this stuff. And she had like it was in an old fish cannery, it was in somebody's barn, it was anyway. She stopped doing it because of the pandemic, and at the time when I was starting Silk Moss she hadn't started it back up again, but she said my people would love what you're doing, so she gave me her mailing list as the
Wow.
Oh, sweet.
seed audience for telling people about Silk Moth, which was so kind, so incredible. And so from that list, which was about 1,200 people, I also, of course, added friends, family members, everybody I know. So that's kind of how we started. Our local NPR affiliate did a really great story about us right when we were starting, which a ton of people heard. So that was really
Nice.
great. Um, and now we have a pretty good kind of word of mouth following, and we have found that word of mouth is the best thing because
Hmm.
getting somebody to come to see a play they've never heard of at a theater that's in God's country, like it's hard unless somebody tells you, no, this is definitely worth your evening. Um, so we mostly focus on kind of word of mouth and social networking.
Yeah.
And one other thing that we do, which I actually right before this is better. Sorry,
And
not in
tell
my
us
house. This is in a
again
strange place.
what you're working on. You have to start over.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. A little intro. Okay. So right now I'm working on a social media post about like the next 4 weekends. Here are the plays we're excited about in our
Mhm.
community. And so yeah, I'm going to put our play on there. I'm also going to name a play at the Wayne. I'm going to name a play at this very strange puppet play at this place called the Off Center that's in Stanton, Virginia. So I've got like 3 or 4 plays I'm going to highlight from other organizations. as well as ours. And I know
Yeah.
that what's going to happen is that they are going to share that post. And then
Yeah.
their audience, who are already people who go to
Right.
theater, will say, oh, I should check that out.
Yeah.
So anyway, we do that. We buy program ads in high school musicals. Anyway,
Okay.
That's
oh
great.
And
no, did you freeze again? No, you didn't. Okay.
no, so did you
Okay.
did we just show up? This is my last question about this event. I
Mm.
promise I won't,
About
but
going to the show.
yeah,
Yeah.
but do you just
So
yeah, go ahead.
we we love for people to buy a ticket in advance.
Okay.
I did finally get a credit card reader so we can have people show up.
Okay.
Um, but it's really hard to find, and it is my house, so I don't put
Mm.
the address
Oh,
on the website. If you buy a ticket, you will get an email with directions. So so we encourage
Okay.
people to buy in advance so they can find us.
Yes.
I love that.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
What is the name of your website? I know that we're going to put it on the on our website, but just so people hear it.
Yeah, so it's silkmothstage.com.
And it
And we
Oh,
are
will. It'll
also on
be
Facebook, Blue Sky, and Instagram at Silk Moth
okay.
Stage.
oh,
Okay.
great. Okay.
And it
Yeah.
will be. It'll be down below. So those of you who want to
Yeah.
go buy your tickets right now,
Great.
just stop listening, go down below, get your tickets, and then you can come back. Um, I am so excited about this. But listen, I have to ask. You started this in 2020, and what made you start this?
2022.
2022.
Oh,
Okay. What made you start it?
So we started in 2022. No one was starting theaters in 2020.
I
oh,
thought
right.
I
Oh,
was
So
like,
right.
really
Yeah.
silly
That's
story.
bad time to start.
We
Yeah.
had this porch on my house.
That's great.
Yeah. So we had this porch on my house, and the insurance company said, "You all have to get rid of this porch because it's a death trap. It was falling apart." So we're rebuilding the porch. I designed a different porch than the one we had, and my son said, "What's the house going to look like after the porch is built?" So I drew him a little picture. And he looks at it and he goes, Mama, why are you building a Shakespeare stage on our house? And I was like, I am not building a Shakespeare stage. That's ridiculous. And then I was like, it even has a
Yeah.
balcony. That's kind of interesting. Because my family, my children have grown up going to plays at the American Shakespeare Center, which looks just like my porch, frankly. It's
Mhm.
a stage with the audience on three sides and a pretty little balcony. And so we don't do Shakespeare because first of all, I have plenty of opportunities to do Shakespeare professionally. My degree is in Shakespeare. It's like relatively easy work for me to get. And also the American Shakespeare Center is right there. We're 40 minutes away from it. So, but it did get in my head. I couldn't quite get rid of this idea. And then I was having really bad insomnia. And I haven't really told this story publicly, but this is fine. You'll like this, I think.
It's
I was like
public
laying
now.
awake and I
Mhm.
felt like my body was full of 30,000 bees.
Hmm.
It's public now, everyone knows.
Mhm.
Like I felt like this buzzing and humming like
Mhm.
inside of my body, and I was not sleeping, like
Mhm.
at all.
Mm.
Um, and it got to a point where it felt like almost like dangerous or uncomfortable that I was not sleeping. And so this person that I kind of vaguely knew socially had just set herself up as a spiritual director. I didn't know her well at all, but there was one I was driving situation and she popped into my head with this. I'm driving, I come around a mountain, I'm heading home from well, I had been to Detroit, but I'm heading home across the mountain in Virginia, and I see and there's like a rainbow.
Mm.
Like
Ah,
the end of it's on Harrisonburg where Chris lives. And I was like, holy heck, okay. Um, by the way, she's very cool and she has a business called Soul Lens where you're directing via Zoom these days. I would recommend her. Um, so I go talk to her and I'm like, I've got these bees in my body and I don't know what to do about it. And she said,
Mhm.
the next time, like, I want you to say out loud, what do you want?
Mhm.
What are you here for? And
ooh,
she's like, I think this is kind of a creative energy. Let's see something. Like, so ask it what it wants. And I did
Mm.
that. And I all of a sudden had this like very clear idea that my porch wanted to be a stage.
ah,
And apparently had sent a lot of bees to tell me that. Um, And so then after that, I started like inviting theater people over to my house, and I would be like, "We're just gonna sit in the yard and look at my house. What
Hmm.
do you
That is a
see?"
great story.
And so that's how it started. Is it? Usually, I just tell the part about my son because he's very cute. Um,
Uh,
That is very cute.
the bees
and
is great.
the silk moth comes from the bees. The silk moth comes from when I'm stressed out, I dye silks. So my house has a lot of very colorful silk in my kids' dress up bins. And when the porch was about half built, they had just put the decking on. And my kids, who were 8 and 10, came out and they started dancing with these silks. And I took a photograph of them and I sent to my friend Scott Lang, who's an actor that I've worked with in Michigan, Silk Moth. And I was like, I'm not starting a theater.
Yeah.
Here we
Uh,
are.
Um,
So that was all. The porch thing was in 21, started the theater in 22, and we're starting our fourth season.
wow. I mean, see, into the unknown. And
yeah,
I really like that. What do you want? Like asking that feeling, whatever that feeling
yeah,
is that you get, like whatever that thing is that's coming, like what do you want from me? And then being willing to follow it, you know,
right.
into what it wants. Um, I do want to,
Thank you,
yeah,
Internet.
yeah,
All right, so we're going to try this one more. So sorry. Could
yeah.
you please ask that question again?
Yes, yes. Um, so I mean, it this feels like an into the unknown pursuit in a sense.
Mhm.
Like I know that you have this really major background. I mean, this is what you studied, this is what you've done. So did it did it feel like a big undertaking to you? Did it take a lot of trust to go into this or not? Like what was that like?
I think in some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. Like I've been working in theater for a very long time, and I have done every aspect pretty much of what I do now, besides like budgeting and writing grants. So I did have some background, and I felt pretty confident going into that. In that way, but I also was just like, is anyone gonna want to come watch a play in my yard?
Mm.
Like, that's weird. Um, so I think there was, especially at the beginning, some trepidation, like, will actors want to be in this? Will people
Oh,
want to come
right.
see it? Um, but one thing we say about Silk Moth is like it's the place of serendipity. It's like this place where kind of magical or like the right thing just keeps happening.
Mm,
And learning to trust that is an ongoing process. So like all the time, I'm like, nothing's ever going to work out. Like, but also it always keeps doing working out. So I
yeah.
just need to keep showing up for it. Um,
Mm.
yeah, like that's the push pull of Silk Moth is like, how much do I trust this leap
Yeah.
every day?
Yeah. I think that's maybe the push-pull of creative expression, period. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is about the
yeah,
unknown.
yeah. And when I say
Yeah.
creative expression, I mean anything that you create. So like maybe someone's not an artist or maybe someone's not a thespian, but maybe they create a food truck. I don't know. Like maybe they create the dinners, the underground
Yeah.
dinners,
A
you know.
happening.
Yeah, so anytime
Yeah,
you do a
Mhm.
creative expression, you really have to trust it. It really requires that faith and that strength and
yeah.
that willingness. Now, how does this relate to Take Five? Can we talk a little bit about because I feel like I could talk about Silk Moth Stage for hours and
Yeah.
never learn everything I want to know. But I do want to talk about Take Five. What is it?
Yeah. So Take Five is a framework that I've developed to help theaters create better workplaces for their workers.
Hmm.
Oftentimes we forget that art is work,
Hmm.
like because it's fun and it's cute and whatever, but it's also work. Like
Hmm.
if I'm hiring actors, I'm their boss, I'm their manager, I'm creating a
Mm,
workplace for them. Um, and one thing that nobody teaches you in directing school is like what the fact that like my medium is other people's emotions and my canvas is other people's bodies. And therefore, there's an ethical framework I need to have about that. That did not ever come up in all of my training. And
Right.
so
Hang on.
I have been working on developing like how.
You got to say that again.
Yeah.
Hang
Yeah,
on.
that was pretty heavy. That's
Yeah,
intense. Yeah, people, yeah, let's get
I
that
gotta
again.
wrap it. Wait, my medium?
So my medium is other people's emotions. My canvas is other people's bodies.
Wow.
And that has ethical implications.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you're a painter, it doesn't matter how the canvas feels about stuff, right? But I'm not a painter.
Yeah.
I am working with human beings who are artists in their own right.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, and the theater industry for, I don't know, a few hundred years, let's just say, has had this image of like a director is a white man with a vision, and everybody else's job is to kind of execute that vision without asking too many questions or
Right.
having
Yeah.
feelings about it.
Okay.
And one thing that's great right now is that theater is changing. There are far more people, more kinds of people who are being offered the keys to the kingdom. And also, there is a growing awareness that acting is work, that it's
Mm-hmm.
hard work, and that actors, need certain kinds of workplace protections. And so, Take Five is uh, a set of like very practical tools and principles that can be used in any theater, whether you are doing Jack and the Beanstalk with your third graders or whether you're doing something on Broadway, to create a work environment where people can ask for what they need and they have the tools and opportunity for that, and they can trust that they will not be punished for having needs and that their needs will be
Mm-hmm.
met with some kind of reasonable accommodation, negotiation, respect. That's like the deal with Take Five generally. And I started teaching, I kind of constructed this framework shortly before the pandemic, and then the zoominess of the pandemic gave me the opportunity to teach it a lot of places. So I've shared this work now for about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And early on in that work, people kept saying, I mean, sure, if you had a huge budget and all kinds of time and could meet people's needs, maybe you could do this. Uh, and so part of the founding of Silk Moth also was, what if this is a laboratory for Take Five? What if this is
Mm-hmm.
a place where we try to see what happens when we put Take Five principles into effect with essentially no money, with like a tiny, tiny budget?
Yeah.
Um, and so now that's working really well, actually. And so now but we can't, here's why this won't work is, oh, I mean, sure, at your tiny little weird theater, you could do that, but not like a real organization, like a big theater.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you guys, pick one. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the
Right.
connection between Take Five and Silk Moth Stage.
I love that. I mean, and
Yeah.
okay, and for two different reasons. Because one is I really appreciate it. Like Corey talked a little bit about this and about some of the
Mhm.
exercises they do. That sounds like maybe it's part of Take Five, or I don't know,
I've done
but
Take Five training at the Wing, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And she talked some about that, and so I always appreciate people's needs being cared for and their boundaries being respected. And I think if people are doing that, I just think the more people are doing that, the better world we're going to have. So,
Y-
for that, I really admire and appreciate what you created. The other thing, though, that I see that you do is you have an idea, you have a dream, you have a vision, whatever you want to call it, whichever I can see the different connotations. But you also have what it takes to to manifest it.
mhm.
Like you don't just, hey, I know that this is important and I'm only going to do it at Silkmouth. No, you've made an entire framework that is actually teachable, that you can share with others. Like that's really unique. That's rare and special. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or like do you want me to ask you
Yeah, I mean, I
a
think it's a hard thing to talk about, right? Because I'm kind of unique and special. Um, I think that for me, the issue is always that like I want to change everything. So I have had actors who have worked with me who have said, actually, I don't know that I feel safe working somewhere else because I know that not every theater works like this. Not everybody is
Mhm.
going to be caring about like that I have feelings. And for me, the way that I change that is by renovating my industry at a really dramatic level. And also as a director, one of the most heartbreaking things that happens all the time is that I work with not just actors, but like everybody, designers, front of house, everyone who have been harmed by other people who have my
Mm,
job title. And
Mm,
so I often find myself in a position where I'm having to repair relationships that I didn't break in
mm,
order to be able to
right.
work productively with somebody. And again, the way to make that happen less is to change my industry.
mhm,
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of selfish. I just like am tired of having these interactions. I would like to fix everything so I don't have to.
mhm. Okay, so now you brought up another interesting thing, like the role of director, right? Because a lot of like my first thought when I think of Silk Moth Stage or the Wayne Theater, I think of the actors. And so
Right. Well, that's what you see. That's what we see. We go and we see
yeah,
the actors.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
you're like a mystery.
yeah, what are y'all doing?
Yeah. What are you doing?
It is such a great question. It depends on the director. I can tell you what I do. If I tell you what other people do, it's not going to be helpful. I think of my job as a director as largely being not to have the best idea in the room, but to hear and amplify the best idea
Oh.
and to make sure that the ideas have the space to show up. And also my job is to use the positional power I have in the room by virtue of my job title to make sure that people are treating each other well
Mm,
and that people have what they need to do their best work. And then lastly, my like kind of artistic level job is to try to construct a show that tells a story that feels cohesive and complete.
hmm. That's a lot.
So that's like these kind of three different buckets of things I think of what directing is.
Mhm,
And that last bucket is the only one they really try to teach you in directing school is like script
Mm,
mm,
analysis, stage pictures, and like what's your concept. Um, but for the way that I work, that is in no sense an afterthought. It's a really important part of my work. Um, but I get there by doing things like the actors that I've directed will say that I direct with questions, and I don't have a preconceived idea of the right answer. Usually, I'm always like,
mhm,
I don't know, like here's this part that seems kind of
mhm,
bent up and knotty, and I can't figure out how we get from here to here. I know this has to happen, and I don't understand why you do this. And then the actor and I have a conversation about it, and we come up with some ideas to try, and we're like, okay, try this, try that. We kind of sense like, I think that's about where you need to go, or explore that a little more. Um,
mm.
so I'm very rarely telling actors what to do,
mhm,
and I am more often asking questions that invite their engagement and their artistry as we construct the world of a play. Um, I
So
often
it's
am like kind of giving people principles, but like not like do this on this line.
mhm,
that is so interesting. It sounds more like a co-creating situation than what I picture as like because in the movies, like the director is like this lunatic person that's yelling at the actors and making them carry out their vision for the performance.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably what a lot of people's vision is.
I think that's
And
I'm
that's not
always
very good.
frustrated. I'm always frustrated with like how badly directors are depicted in movies and things that presumably are made by directors. We always
Right.
look
What?
crazy. I
well,
hate it.
yeah. Now, okay, I'm about to do okay. So, you know what it sounds like to me when you're talking about the way you direct? It also sounds to me like the way you describe being a creative midwife, which is another thing that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Um, and certainly, so if I just can say like real quick, what is creative
Yeah.
midwifery? Um, I work with clients who have some kind of creative thing they want to do. And one guy who was working on a novel, one person who wanted to like start a series of essays, which she ended up starting a Substack. Part of the discernment there was what do you want to do exactly? Um, I've worked with people who wanted to explore painting. Like I've worked with different people who are like they have an idea that they would like to create something, but they don't quite have what they need to get there. So the first person was the fellow who was writing a novel, and he and I were coworkers from way back, and he contacted me and he said, "I need you to be my boss." And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Mm,
And he said, "Well, I need to have somebody I'm accountable to, and I would like to schedule a weekly call, and I will pay you for your time. And I want to tell you, like, here's the pages I wrote this week, and here's where I'm going next. Uh, and out of that process, he didn't want me to read the thing. He didn't want me to give him
Mm.
notes on his
Oh,
writing,
wow.
although that could have been an option. But as we were working together, I just was like asking him questions, and they sometimes would be questions about the characters in his book, and sometimes they would be things like, I don't know, buddy, it seems like you're trying to make yourself get up at 5 a.m. to write. Have you ever successfully gotten up at 5 a.m. to do anything?
Well,
Like, is there
Mhm.
a different time of day that would work better? So those kinds of things. Um, a lot of just like what's holding you back? What are some systems you can put in place? What are some rituals you can add to your life to kind of help you create this thing? Um, but yeah, I think when I'm doing that creative midwifery work, I'm using many of the skills that I have developed as a director to
mhm.
invite people to their own creative process, and offer them some tools, offer them some prompts. Yeah. The other piece too about directing that is also like creative midwifery is when I met with my spiritual director for the first time, um, the thing that was so striking to me about what she was doing is that she was listening to me with her whole entire being.
Mhm.
And that is how I listen to actors and how I listen to the creative
Mm,
people that I'm working with. And I've
Mhm.
never had anybody listen to me like that before. Never.
yeah.
And
Mm.
I, how it felt was just
Mm.
so powerful. And to think, oh, maybe I make people feel like that sometimes. Like that was a
Oh,
huge thing for
Oh,
me. Um, so
that's
yeah, those are
really
all like
beautiful.
connected.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I do just want to also note that with the people, so you have one of your gifts. I would love to see your natal chart. Because one of your well, your natal
because that's what
chord.
Angela does.
Yeah, I'm an astrologer, and
Yes.
because you have a gift of manifestation, whether it's of your vision, whether it's of the vision of others, like you have probably have a really interesting chart because you both have ideas and compassion, but you also have like the energy to help with to manifest. And it's just fascinating to listen to you talk about your endeavors and the way you work with others. Now, I've got to find out something else. What is the difference between a director and a producer?
Oh,
Oh, right, because earlier I said I'm producing or The Last Wide Open for Silk Moth and not directing.
Hmm.
That really depends on the kind of theater you're working at. If you are on a
oh,
Broadway theater, the producer's job is getting all the money. Like the producer goes and gets investors to make sure the play happens. That's
oh,
Okay.
that's part of what I'm doing, but that's not what it means at my theater. Basically, the producer at my theater is doing everything that no one else is doing. Um, so in the case of Silk Moth, because we are such a tiny theater and because our primary goal is to pay actors, producing is like I am handling publicity. I'm making sure we have a portage on. I'm interacting with the we're borrowing some set pieces from a college and I'm like interacting with them about what we're getting.
okay.
Uh, it's like all of the 10,000 details. Did I talk to my neighbors about when the play is so we can use their parking? Did I, make sure that like the box office software is set up correctly? Like we have no staff. So at Silk Moth, the producer is just the person who does all of the things. Um, and different theaters have a different way that they define that producer role, and some don't really have a producer. But typically, the producer is a person like, I'm hiring the set designer, I'm hiring the costume designer, I'm hiring the director, I'm making sure everyone's contracts work, I'm making sure that we have somebody to do all the things.
Hmm.
And then if we don't have somebody to do all the things, then the producer does those things. So that's kind of the framework.
That's so interesting. So the producer is kind of the nuts and bolts organizer, it
Yeah.
sounds
I
like.
mean, it
Like
does
the the
depend on
the
the
more
organization.
tangibles. Yeah.
Okay.
Producer is a real catch-all title.
Okay.
Um, an
Okay.
organization with a bigger staff, the producer would be doing very different things than what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I so I have a couple of yeah, I know I did. So I have a couple of things. One, I want to go back and just say one more time, um, the play, the date, the website. I want to hear the band name one more time that plays for an entire hour while I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
now am I drinking wine while I'm sitting on this in this yard, or is that allowed?
So here's the thing.
Okay.
Virginia has very complicated and strict alcohol rules, but
Okay.
you can bring your own. I just can't
Okay.
sell it to you. And I
Okay.
would
Oh,
really appreciate it if you don't become unsafe to drive.
Yeah, no.
yeah.
Don't anybody do that ever. That's not
Yeah,
good. That's
that's a
not
Yeah,
cool.
terrible
That is
idea.
not
Yeah.
cool.
but alcohol is BYO.
Okay. Okay. Do you,
Um,
should I edit that
so
out? Should I? Is that okay?
no,
Okay.
that's
All
fine.
right.
People can bring their own.
Okay.
Uh, okay, so the play is The Last Wide Open, and it is May 9, 10, 11, and 16, 17, 18. Uh,
Okay.
at Silk Moth Stage in the Shenandoah Valley. And that's silkmothstage.com or Silk Moth Stage on Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky. Our Blue Sky is not very active. If we had more followers over there, we would do
Mhm.
more.
Oh,
Um, the band that will play before each performance is called the LUA Project. It's LUA Project. And they play Mexilachin fusion music, which is so good.
Mhm.
And we are able to have them join us thanks to support from the Virginia Commission for the Arts, which I'm really grateful for. The VCA is the
Yep.
first funding we've gotten from our state arts organization. So
I
that's
love
pretty
the
cool. I think that's
VCA.
all the things.
oh, that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think well, we didn't nearly cover all my questions, but we never do. So I'm so glad that you were here, Eileen, and that we got to find out even just a little bit about you.
Yes.
And like I'm like, oh, can we just do this again? I'm like, Karen, I'm like, can we just do this again? Because I just
I
need to know
know.
more.
Yeah.
But I really think people should go to this play. I want to go to this play. I'm so
I
excited
know.
about it. You know,
It's really exciting. It's so different. And yeah.
I did not know I liked plays. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Karen was in a
What?
play in high school. No, it's never been my thing. I've never been in a play. I didn't think I liked them. And my nephew, he's not really involved in a lot of things, but he is involved in D&D, and he found this theater and he started doing the sound for them, and he found a home. Aw.
Mm.
Sorry.
Hi.
You're okay, lady.
And
Hello,
and
hello, new person.
and uh and he started doing the sound for them, and he loves it. And so we would go to watch the play because he was doing the sound. And I love plays. I mean, I just love them. And so yeah,
I
this
think
is
the
really
only
cool.
people that don't love a play are people that have never been to a play.
Obviously. Obviously. Okay. Now, here's your creative prompt. Okay.
Oh,
I've been thinking about this the whole time. There were so many, like there were so many things you could riff off of that you said.
I'm just gonna
And
have a second.
yeah, and like I think that this one's not really a writing prompt or a painting prompt or anything. This is a creative living prompt because I feel like that's what Eiley does. I feel
Yeah,
like
it
you
sounds like it.
you live creatively. Like I heard this today. Someone was like, don't follow your passion, follow your curiosity. I stole that off someone and I don't remember who it was.
Oh,
But so it's not mine. But I thought that makes so much sense because they were like talking about how passion sits up on a hill and burns sometimes if you're lucky. But curiosity you can have every day. And like you can ask questions, and that's what you do, Hailey. And so like m- my my prompt for anyone who's listening to is what is it that you want? Like what is it that your curiosity wants? What are you
mm,
curious about? And like seriously think about that. Like you could journal about that or paint about that or dance it out or go on a run or walk or be in nature, but seriously spend some time thinking about what you're curious about and follow that curiosity. And if you stop following that curiosity, ask yourself what's standing in your way. Like
mhm,
ask yourself if you need a new ritual, at go get a creative midwife. Like but keep following that curiosity. And so that's my prompt for today. Like follow that curiosity to its tangible state. And when I say it's tangible state, like that could be a song. That is tangible. I mean, a song is tangible. You
Sure.
can hear it, follow it to, I mean, I love this idea of this underground supper. I don't even know if that's the name you said, but I made it up. I don't know. But I love the idea of it. Like,
Yeah.
follow your curiosity, live a creative life. And Eileen, I know you want to change everything. You are changing everything. You
Yeah.
do change everything. So keep doing that. Keep following your curiosity, Eileen. We need more people like you. I'm so glad you were here today. I feel so touched and moved and inspired by
Yeah.
you. And ah, just thank you. Thank
Such
Thank you
you.
great
so much. And
goodness.
it's interesting to me that you hit curiosity because you know the like core values exercise, which I always make everybody do because I want to know
Mhm.
your core values. Like mine are gratitude and curiosity. Like those are the
Mm.
ones I get for free. Courage I work on every day, but
Mm.
Ah,
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm
so
not
that's just kind of
wrong.
lovely.
Again,
You're not wrong.
again, again. Yes. Okay. Thank
so
y'all.
good.
Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank everyone for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, go to theater, and be curious. Be curious. Okay.